Metro Micro is effectively LA's subsidized version of a rideshare service akin to Uber or Lyft, as much as they don't want you to see it that way. If you're new to the channel, this is Fourth Place, your place to learn about US geography, urbanism, transportation, and city planning. This unique mode of public transportation operates out of a fleet of Ford vans that the city has leased out, which are able to fit 10 passengers, not including the driver and passenger seats. The program operates inside 8 zones spread throughout different areas in LA County. Much like Uber or Lyft, you're able to request a ride from your current location to your desired destination. But unlike typical rideshare, you can't request rides just anywhere, only within the zone that you're located in. For example, you can't request a ride from the NoHo Burbank zone to the LAX Inglewood zone to catch your 4 a.m. flight. You can only travel within your own zone using Metro Micro, and for just $2.50 between any 2 points. And also, unlike Uber or Lyft, it's not exactly direct. You're able to input your desired pickup and drop-off points, but about 10 minutes before your Metro Micro van arrives, it will always direct you to a nearby bus stop, where you're going to need to be in order for the Metro Micro van to pick you up and drop you off. And according to Metro Micro, that's sort of the point. It's not a rideshare, and they don't want you to think it is. And part of the reason why major destinations such as Universal Studios, Dodger Stadium, and Burbank Hollywood Airport are cleverly avoided in the map zones, which, in a sense, makes it convenient, but also very inconvenient. According to Metro Micro, the service's biggest goal is to supplement areas with limited Metro bus service. So if Metro's goal is to get passengers where they want to go, acting as a micro bus service, and your service excludes some of the most popular destinations, doesn't that seem pretty contradictory? Well, I needed answers. So, of course, I had to take it for a spin. I got picked up right on time at 6 p.m. in the Echo Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, just barely within the Highland Park Eagle Rock Glendale zone. And it was at a bus stop nearby the location I requested. I was en route to Atwater Village, directly north across Interstate 5. For reference, this would be a 5-minute drive in my personal vehicle and a 10-minute drive via the 92 bus route. Keep that in mind. I boarded the Metro Micro van with just one other passenger inside. I didn't know exactly where we were off to next, but I was just along for the ride. It turned out that a rider was to be picked up in the neighborhood of Glassell Park, just east of my destination, before I was supposed to be dropped off. So, not too much of a detour at all. We took a rather bumpy 10-minute drive to Glassell Park, where 2 other riders boarded, and then I was dropped off 8 minutes later at a bus stop near my destination at 6:18 p.m. In this short 18-minute drive, I learned a lot, not only about this peculiar public transit service that my city funds using my taxpayer dollars, but more so about LA Metro's priorities in general. The ride was clean and safe and nowhere near capacity, so it was as comfortable as riding in your mom's minivan. But there's no denying that I got to my location comparably slow. Like I said, 5-minute car ride, 10-minute bus ride, but I could have gotten there even faster on bike. However, that would mean crossing several 3 to 4 lane roads and a major interstate. That's LA for you. But what struck me most about this whole thing was the logistics of it all. Like, given all my other, albeit non-rail options, why does this thing even exist at all? Well, in February of 2020, the Metro Board approved a $29 million contract to private ride-sharing company Rideco Inc. to partner with Metro to operate the service. Originally, the 3-year pilot project was designed to replace short, solo car trips by offering a flexible, on-demand service operated by Metro employees in vehicles that can hold up to 10 passengers. Alright, well, I'll call bull on that on-demand language from their website. I tried requesting an actual ride on demand instead of scheduling one hours ahead, and they were pretty much just like, yeah, we can't do that for you right now, Chief. And this is where I believe LA Metro is sort of contradicting itself in a way. The main purpose of public transportation, such as a bus or a subway or even a light rail line, is to take as many passengers as possible on a route within a city through various heavily trafficked points of interest in order to get people where they need to go. One of the points of public transportation as a whole is not necessarily to be on demand or even all that flexible. That's just personal vehicle ownership or even actual rideshare. Metro Micro is trying to be a bus service, but without the capacity which at least somewhat reduces the amount of would-be cars on the road. Instead of dumping millions of dollars into a city-run rideshare service, why didn't LA Metro use that difficult-to-come-by money to help fund the creation of more subway or light rail in the city? To me, Metro Micro is operating as sort of a quasi-luxury bus rapid transit service, minus the rapid and vehicle occupancy of a bus. You have to wonder, why is the only government-ran agency in the city designed to take cars off the road adding them? If that question is as confusing to you as it is to me, then you'll understand why I just don't get why this exists. I guess it comes down to this one question though. Do the residents within the metro microzones benefit from their tax dollars getting put into a rideshare service that, for the most part, skirts around most major points of interest and exists alongside an operational bus service? Or would those millions of dollars be better spent investing in more capacious modes of public transportation? Now, $29 million isn't going to build an entire new subway line, but it would at least help, right? This service certainly isn't taking solo drivers off the road either. Maybe some, but the fact that you're limited to using Metro Micro within your own confined zone certainly isn't having anyone turn their cars in favor of it. It's way too limiting for that, unless you want to spend your entire existence subject to the Burbank zone. And I don't want that for anyone. So how exactly would I go about finding the answer to these questions? Well, from the driver on my ride back to Echo Park, of course. Upon being picked up after spending a lovely time eating and walking around one of my favorite LA neighborhoods in Atwater Village, it was time to board my pre-booked ride back to Echo Park. And I was lucky enough to have a driver who had been driving Metro Micro since its inception in 2020, and he had a lot to say about the program, especially in defense of it. I mean, that's his job, and I totally understand it. But when we got into it, he partially agreed about its redundancy. He explained that it was ultimately only meant to be for 3 years, and it was only ever intended as a way for people to get onto a nearby metro station and then onto their desired route, efficiently aiding in Los Angeles' terrible lack of transit and bike interconnectability. Since 2023, the planned end date for this temporary, largely pandemic-era program, LA Metro has been extending the Metro Micro program, spending millions of more taxpayer dollars in 6-month extension intervals into the present day. And as many Los Angeles residents have pointed out, it's been largely a waste. Angelinos have been vocal, online and in person. Their desire to have regular bus service return to pre-pandemic levels and have Metro use their limited funding to expand subway and light rail to the levels of a world-class city takes priority to this ultimately failed experiment. And with the program falling short of LA Metro's ridership goals, LA residents have made their point quite clear. They don't want this, they don't use this, it doesn't make much of any sense, and they want more subway and light rail. For those of you not in LA, I think it's important to show a comparison between LA and other global cities' public transit networks to show just how behind LA truly is in all of this. Here's Amsterdam's network, in a city much less populated than LA. Here's Frankfurt's. Here's Chicago's. And here's Los Angeles. And seeing maps like these offer up an amazing thought experiment. Back in the late 20th century and early 21st century, Los Angeles had an extensive streetcar and light rail network. Here's a map of that. It's not perfect, but for 1926, it was incredibly ahead of its time. It was only when the car lobby got it into the heads of Americans that cars offered more freedom that the city destroyed the streetcar network in favor of building stroads and freeways, which, as it turns out in the present day, are much less freeing. For the most part. It's an interesting topic I'd love to delve into in a future video, perhaps even visiting some of the relics of the red car system throughout the city. So if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more like it, hit that subscribe button. I upload videos every Sunday morning, and we just hit 1,000 subscribers and counting. We'd love for you to be a part of the new, growing community here. I'll see you next week from 4th Place.